You're tuned to Radio Kidnappers, the voice of Hawke's Bay. This is a program called The Wonderful World of Wardini Books, and it's a pleasure, as always, to have in the studio, and looking extremely fabulous, as always, Lou from Wardini in Havelock. How you going, Lou?
Get the pie, Ken. Get the pie.
What does that mean?
How are you?
I'm great, thanks very much.
Good.
I love it when people can speak two languages. I get very jealous of people who are intelligent, much like yourself, but I suppose I'm just lazy and can't be bothered learning.
Oh, I don't know. I don't speak any other language fluently, but I think if you can pick up a few phrases, then that can be quite cool.
Absolutely right. And we're going to start off with a book called Paraweta, and before you came in, I was singing Paraweta.
Yeah, nothing to do with that at all. So we are this week, as we know, or we have celebrated Te Wiki o Te Reo Māori.
Yes.
And this year's theme is Kia kaha Te Reo Māori, which is stay strong. So Gecko Press, which brilliant independent New Zealand publisher, have a book that's a very famous book with them called Pooh Bum, and it's about Simon Rabbit, and he's a naughty little rabbit, and all he can say is Pooh Bum. So just recently they have had that book translated into Māori.
Great idea.
And now we have Paraweta,
and so
completely, or thereabouts. I suppose no translations are exact, are they? So I did show it to a fluent Māori speaker friend of mine, and he just looked at it and went, "Oh," so I don't know if it's slightly rude. So as we know, this is about Simon Rapati, Simon Rabbit, and all he can say is Pooh Bum, and he is eaten by a wolf at some point, but his doctor is his father is the attending GP to the wolf when he gets stomachache from having eaten a naughty rabbit, and so he's saved by his doctor. But there's all sorts of things go on. Simon doesn't necessarily learn not to be a naughty rabbit, and I like that it's just what kids do.
Yeah, and I suppose
find naughty words.
Kids sort of love getting into that alternative language as well, don't they?
Yeah, I think this is a great opportunity. Yeah,
fabulous.
Especially when you've got it in English and you've got it in Māori, and then you can look at them and you can pick out which word means which, and
great idea.
Yeah, really make those connections.
And our next book is called His Name Was Walter.
Yes, this is by Emily Rodder, and she's written heaps of books. She wrote Del Toro Quest, I think was the one that my daughter read years ago. I hope I haven't got that completely wrong. Doesn't matter at this stage. So this is a chapter book for a child of probably about 9 and up. And it was just one of those books that I finished and I just went, wow. It made me laugh, it made me cry, all those things. And it's about a bunch of kids and they're on a school trip and the bus breaks down. And most of the class go off into the town because they can walk, but you've got a girl with a broken ankle and you've got 4 kids who stay behind anyway with the teacher, and there's a storm coming and they have to go and take shelter in this house that's being done up, and it's obviously something dodgy about haunted. This house. Yes, so they find a book that's been handwritten and hand illustrated, and it's beautiful, and it appears to tell a fable, a fairy tale about a young man, but there's more to it than that, Ken, without any spoilers.
Like
so there is something in this house that's related to the book, and it urges the children on to read and find out what's happening, because there's a great wrong that needs to be righted.
Sounds exciting.
It was brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
Must be a 10.
Definitely. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
You're listening to Radio Kidnappers. This is the wonderful world of Wardini Books. We've got Lou from Wardini in Havelock North, and of course, you'll be loved. He is in Wardini Books in Napier. Sometimes he's gallivanting around. How's his writing going? He's writing a new book, isn't he?
Yeah, he's editing book 2 of the Traitor series, Traitor and the Thief, book 2. So he's working hard.
Absolutely.
He's famous, Ken.
I know he is famous. He's very famous. Very famous. He's probably famous worldwide. Do you sell his books overseas?
Australia so far, but yeah, you never know. The rights might get into other countries at some point.
Yeah, he could probably wave to me one day. He could say, "Who's that guy?" Our next book is called We Can Make a Life.
Yeah, this is a really good New Zealand book too. So this is a non-fiction by Chessie Henry. And when I picked it up, I'd heard that it was about her father's experiences. He's a GP down Kaikoura way. And it was his experiences during the Christchurch earthquake. And I picked it up, and it is much more than that. So we get on to that. But it's really about her family, her mother and father, who are quite unusual people, have lived quite a bohemian life and followed their dreams. They've got 5 children. Chessie's got 4 brothers. And their father, they were both English, the parents, and Chris and Esther. And they came over from England when Esther was 7 months pregnant with Chessie, so they're just, right, we're going to do this and we're going to go. And it doesn't matter that I'm about to drop a baby.
Yes, good on it.
Settled in New Zealand. They went to a really tiny Tokelauan island at one point, and they took the whole family, all these tiny kids, and where Chris was a GP for a bit. So that was hugely challenging. So there's a section on that. But then later we get on to Chessie interviewing her father about when he went into the CTV building and pulled people out of there.
Wow.
And that is incredibly moving and incredibly affected. She says, I've written this like a memoir and I've written it in this style. But when it comes to that part, what she did was they got her iPhone or whatever and pressed record. They were travelling together somewhere in the car and they strapped it to the steering wheel and just let her father talk. And so she's just transcribed it, and it's so powerful and moving. It's
Marvellous.
incredible.
Yeah. Be a 10.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
And our last book we're going to talk about today is called Take Nothing With You. Is that sort of like when you die?
I think that's where I've been musing on why it's called this, because it's by Patrick Gale, and I really like Patrick Gale. I've read a lot of his novels. He's a beautiful writer, and everything that he writes is quite different to the last one. So this one is sort of set in modern day, an older man, not an elderly man, but he's probably, I'm getting the impression he's probably in his early 60s, something like that.
Older man like me.
No, he's in just a prime of his life. Yes. But this guy, Eustace, is quite ill. He's just about to fall in love again, but he's become quite ill with a cancer that he's going to have treated. And it's that and his relationships and his friendships in the present, but it's mostly about when he was a kid. And he grows up with his parents, as most of us do, his parents run an old people's home. So he grows up with the smell of old people and cabbage, and it's quite unusual for him, and it makes him quite a sort of left field kid. And then he's very passionate about learning the cello, and there's lots of musical stuff in it, and about just how the music consumes him and affects him, and the people that he meets. This wonderful teacher that inspires him, and then it sort of goes all through it's a coming of age story really about him finding out who he is, and then how that relates to him as an older man. And it was just lovely.
And it's a funny thing, old people do have a smell, don't they?
I don't even know what to say, Ken.
Anyway, as always, our pleasure to talk to you, Lou. You look after yourself. We'll talk to the same time, same place next time.
Cool, thank you.